I wrote a book here in 1984 called You Were Born Rich. The truth is everybody is born rich. Most people are just a little short of money. Now, all the money in the world is available to us. All we have to do is earn it. And I've learned how to earn it. I've earned millions of dollars. I have worked all over the world. And what I do is so simple, anybody can do it, but not everybody does. It's a strange thing. We have such phenomenal opportunities staring us in the face, and we don't act on them. A lot of people think you have to be really smart if you're going to earn a lot of money. That's not true. I'm not really smart. I may be a little smarter than I was when I started this, but I sure wasn't very smart when I started it. I was going backwards. I owed everybody money. I couldn't pay them what they owed them. Not that I was dishonest. I just didn't earn enough money to pay the people. And my life was going backwards. It never entered my mind that I could change my life. Now, just look here. We've been at this for 60 years. 60 years. Now, Sandy hasn't, but I have. She's been at it 15 years. In the 15 years she's been at it, she made an enormous difference in this. See, she understands how to work with money. She was a securities attorney, a very bright gal. So let's look at this. We're going to spend this 5 days, an hour a day, causing $1 million to look small. See, a lot of people think $1 million's a lot. $1 million's not very much at all. I mean, you can go through $1 million like that. We've got to understand it's not a lot. First of all, nothing's big and nothing's small. Everything just is. We make it big or small. So look here for a moment. Results are the name of the game. You've really got to pay attention to the results you're getting. However, although you pay attention to results, you cannot let results control you. You've got to control results. When you let results control you, you're toast. You're just going to lose. Results must never be in control of you. And that's really one of the big problems that people make. And you're going to see how that works. See, people are focused on their results. See, when I first picked up this book, a man gave me this book. And he said, do exactly what I tell you, and you can have anything you want. Well, of course, I didn't believe that. You can have anything you want. That's preposterous. You can't have anything you want. But the beautiful truth is you can. I didn't believe it, but I believed he believed it. And I think that's what tricked me into watching and listening to the guy. Now, I was 26. I wasn't a little kid. I'm 26, you're still pretty young, especially if you're looking at it from where I'm sitting. Now, 26 looks like you're a baby. But at any rate, I mean, I had been around. I had been working since I was 15. I was earning $4,000 a year, and I owed $6,000. I was going backwards. And I was letting the results control me. Now, the first thing he had me do is write a goal. God, I got 3 or 4 goal cards here now. He said, decide what you want, write it on a card, carry the card in your pocket, and read it as often as possible. Well, all I wanted was some money. Well, he says, how much money? How much? I mean, I didn't know how much. It's $25,000. I didn't know anybody with $25,000. I really did not know anyone with $25,000. I mean, if I had taken all the money from all the guys I hung out with and put all the money that we had together, we wouldn't have had $25,000. I mean, it was just a preposterous number. It was like $1 million. And he said, write it on the card. And the top of it, you've got to write where you want it. See, we've got a blank card here. It says, my goal by, a date's blank, and then I am so happy and grateful now that, and you write it in the present tense. The only thing you don't know is the date. You're guessing at the date. No one knows how long it takes for an idea to move into form. Now, listen to this for a moment. I had $25,000 in there. I did not believe it. But you know when it did? He said, now keep reading it. And I hadn't followed instructions, anybody's instructions, up to that point. But I started to read it. Now, you know what it did? It got me thinking of earning money. And you say, well, weren't you thinking of it before? No, I wasn't. I was thinking of debt. I wasn't thinking of earning money at all. This got me thinking of it. And I heard somebody say there's good money cleaning floors. I said, hell, I'm not proud of cleaning floors. So I started cleaning floors. I started cleaning one office, Canada Starch on Comstock Road in Toronto. I got $15 a time for washing the floor, and I washed it twice a month. Then I got another contract, Kirby's Construction on Wilkstead Avenue. I got $65 a month for washing their floors. Now I'm up to $95. Now I was only earning $400 a month. So you see, I had a 25% raise, and I had lots of time. So I did this. Well, do you know it wasn't too long until I was earning $12,500 a month. Now, if you annualize that, that's $175,000 a year. I went from $4,000 a year to $12,500 a month in less than a year. What was happening? I was shifting what was going on in my mind. Everything started to change. Now look at Mikey that just introduced me. She said this the other day. I thought it was classic. Most people don't even look at their results because they don't like them. Mikey Steller said that. She's our Chief Operating Officer. Now, I think that's so true. Most people don't look at their results because they don't like them. And it never enters their mind they're in control. They can change the results. Now look at. I want you to ask yourself a question. This is a really important question. What is the most you've ever earned in a year? Think of it. What's the most you've ever earned in a year? Get real honest with yourself here. This deal is strictly between you and yourself. No one else is involved. So forget anybody else listening to you or watching you. We're all so damn concerned with what other people think. First of all, it's none of our business what anybody else thinks. Terry Whitaker wrote a book on that. That was the title of it. What you think of me is none of my business. She's right. Let's take this really seriously. Listen, when I got this book, I was broke. I was 26. I was 87 the other day, and I'm still going strong. But when I got this, I had nothing. I wouldn't pay attention. If I wouldn't have been listening to me. I didn't pay attention to anybody. But for some reason, the guy that gave me the book got my attention. He always had money. I never had any. Money was an enormous problem. This is very, very important. You've got to do this by yourself. You've got to get real honest. This deal is strictly between you and yourself. Now look at. Take some time alone. Become super honest with yourself. What is the most you've ever earned? And what do you want to earn? What do you really want? Don't just pick a number out of the air. What do you want to earn? What would you really like to earn? I do earn millions of dollars. And you know something? I love it. And I want to earn more. I do a lot of good with money. I give a lot of money away. I give it away where it's needed. My whole life has changed. It's the same guy, still haven't gone to school, 2 months high school. If you really put me through some kind of an IQ test, I'd probably come out about the middle of the road. It'd probably be half the class would be smarter than me and half wouldn't be as smart. See, I don't think I'm that bright. I really don't. You got to get real honest. And you got to look after it. I didn't do that. Do you know in less than 5 years I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. I was earning over $1 million a year. Now here I am over in England. I mean, I love London. I just wanted to go there. So I went there and I started a business. And by that time, I knew I could go and do anything I wanted. And so I started a business. And I was just throwing the money all over the place. And I've told the story many times on air. I'd go down to the Playboy Club on Park Lane. It was right beside the London Hilton. And I'd go in down and play roulette, and I didn't care if I lost, and I usually won. One day, I come out of there, and I thought, I'm not being very responsible. And I went through this truth session with myself, and I think that's what made me aware of just how important it is. I was alone. I was sitting by myself figuring and thinking of this. And I'm thinking, how did I change? What happened to me? My life was like night and day. It was like night and day. And I couldn't figure out how I changed. I couldn't even find anybody who could tell me. Look it. Targets are good for the soul, yours and mine. You got to have a real good goal. Got to have something you're really going after that you really want. I knew that. You know what my goal was? To find out why I changed. That was very important because all of a sudden I realized I wasn't being very bright. I was doing very well, but acting pretty stupid. There was nothing responsible about how I was acting. Do you know it took me 9.5 years to figure out exactly why I changed, how I changed? Because the change was enormous. It was like a metamorphosis that had taken place. I was pretty much of a loner. When I was working with, I'd be working with the people. But I spent a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time thinking. I really was into reading and listening to recordings. When I figured out why I changed, all I wanted to do was share it with other people. It is so simple that most people miss it. They don't believe it. You've got to have a goal. You've got to have a target you're shooting at. Targets are good for the soul, yours and mine. Make no mistake about it. $1 million. The magic number. We've written songs about it. We go around, what would you do if you won $1 million? Most people don't know what they do. And they start telling you what they do. They need about 10 million, maybe 20 to do some of the things you're going to do. $1 million, understand this, is not very much. It's not very much. Now, do you seem to think it's a lot? Does that seem like a lot of money? I want you to understand $1 million is not very much money. It is not very much money. You want to reduce it in your mind. Cause it to look small. And if you'll do that, you're going to start winning. Now look it. I want you to really think. If you earn $20,000 a week, for 50 weeks, you earn $1 million a year. If you were earning $40,000 a week for just 25 weeks, you're earning $1 million a year. If you earn $60,000 a week for 16.6 weeks, you're going to be earning $1 million a year. Earn $80,000 a week. I'm going to tell you something, a lot of people are earning $80,000 a week. If you just do it for 12 and a half weeks, you've earned $1 million. And then bingo, look at this. If you earn $100,000 a week, you only have to work for 10 weeks and you've got $1 million. Now you're sitting and saying, well, Bob, big deal, I can do the math. You can do the math, but you see, you don't do the math. That's the problem. If you did the math, this is like magic. If you do the math repetitiously, you reprogram your paradigm. That's one thing I had done. I used to carry a little calculator. I've seen me on a plane from Toronto to Kuala Lumpur. It's 25 hours in the air. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would just work with the calculator. I keep working with the calculator. I was playing with numbers. I changed my paradigm completely. I don't think of anything as a lot anymore. You see, you're programmed to think. Somebody else programmed you. You didn't program yourself. You didn't build that paradigm. You got a paradigm in your subconscious mind that causes you to think $1 million is a lot of money. It's not. It's a little bit of money. This is like magic. If you'll do the math repetitiously, keep playing with this. Listen, I was on a plane going to KL. I had a pad. Where's my pad? Here's the pad here. I love these pads. I'll buy them in England. I buy them from Smithson. Okay? I had a pad like this, and my pen, and my calculator. All the way from Toronto to KL, I was working with numbers. I put 1 and 6 zeros after it. It was 100. And I thought, what's the difference in people that earn $1 million? I'd earned $1 million. What do they do? What's the difference in people that earn $1 million? And I kept playing with it. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, they just don't have one income. Then I started thinking of the people that I knew that was earning $1 million. Then I got an idea. I'm going to get a hold of Mark Victor Hansen. The second I land in KL, and I got an idea. And I phoned him. I woke him up in the middle of the night. But I got him excited. I said, Mark, let's you and I start a seminar. We'll call it the $1 Million Forum. And we'll teach people to earn $1 million by setting up multiple sources of income. Well, I don't think he went to sleep for 2 days. And so we started and we planned this. We brought Jack Canfield into it, Bernie Dorman, Lee Poulos, a number of people. And we put on this $1 Million Forum. Okay? It was a whole week, a week long. We did it in the best hotels, the Ritz-Carlton hotels. First one was actually in the Laurentians in Quebec in the mountains. The next one was at the Laguna Niguel Ritz-Carlton. Absolutely phenomenal environment. This is where Chicken Soup for the Soul books came from. Multi-million-dollar idea. And we're working with ideas. I wouldn't even want to guess the number of people who earned $1 million to come out of that. You see? What we were doing was playing with numbers. It's like magic. You've got to play with the numbers a lot. I don't care if you're broke. Get your calculator and start playing with the numbers. Do you know the beautiful part about a calculator when you're playing with numbers? Here, let me show you something. What the hell did I do here? Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, here's my calculator. Look at. You can put 8 numbers on your calculator. You can put 9 numbers. You can put 100 million on here. Most little calculators can't do that. And when I started to do this, I realized, baby, we got something going here with this phone. Okay? Now, if you play with numbers, I guarantee you're going to blow your mind with what happens. Now, look at this for a moment. You've got to change. You know, perception is a mental faculty. We're going to talk about mental faculties. Perception is a mental faculty. Perception's everything. This illusion's driving me crazy looking at it. Now look here. When you change your perception, you change your life. Think of this. How many different ways are there to look at how you can live your life? And think of the number of people that are saying, I'm so sick of living the way I'm living. Change it. You can change it. There's a million ways you can live. We're God's highest form of creation. All the little creatures out there completely at home in their environment, they blend in. They operate by instinct. We don't. We've been given higher faculties. We're totally disoriented in our environment because we can create our own environment. My goodness, when it comes to earning money, it's a piece of cake. Now look at. Man's mind stretched to a new idea never goes back to its original dimension. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that. A number of people actually said that. When you stretch your mind to an eye with an idea, you'll never go back to its original shape. So let's take a look here for a moment. We're going to play with this for just a moment. Let's say that circle represents the mind, okay? Then we'll take and we'll divide the mind into two parts. We'll say there's the educated mind and there's the emotional mind. Now, it's important we understand this. I've made this so simple because it was explained to me so simple. You see, if it hadn't been explained to me simple, I would have never got it. I would have never got it. Now, look at. Let's add now a body to this, okay? So there's a mind and a body. And it's the body that moves into action and gets the results. What result? We want to earn $1 million. Let's really get serious about this, okay? Now look at. There's a genius doctor, lived down in San Antonio or down in Texas back in 1934. I think he smartened up the day I was born. I was born in 1934. You'd think, my God, and you're still alive? Look at. He stated the mind is an activity. It's not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. In order to gain clarity and eliminate confusion, he's I'm going to create an image of the mind. And there's the image that he created, the one we just drew. Okay? It's his drawing. We'll take and break it into two parts. Now look at. I had studied, I don't know how many books. I had been studying for a number of years, 5, 6, 7 years. And I had all this information, but I couldn't get it organized. That's one of the principles of success that Napoleon Hill came up with. Organized information, intelligently directed. Well, I didn't have it organized. I had information all over the place. I had so much information, it was making my mind hurt sometimes. I mean, I had all this knowledge, but I didn't know what to do with it. And when Val Vanderwall showed me this, everything came together. Everything I had studied. This is the most valuable idea I've ever learned, bar none. Now, I'm going to go through this quickly. We will spend more time later, but let's go through it and take a look at how it works. Here's your mind here. That's your conscious, your subconscious, and your body. Now, your conscious mind is your thinking mind. That's the part of you that thinks, okay? That's your educated mind. That's where we gather all the information and store it up there. That's where the intellect is resident. Now, the subconscious mind is your emotional mind. It operates totally different than the conscious mind. Now, the conscious mind can choose. It has the ability to choose. Therefore, it can accept or reject. I pretty well quit watching the news. It's just, I think it messes up your mind. Nothing but bad news. They don't put the good news on there. So you have the ability to accept or reject. You say, well, God, you should watch the news. I mean, what's happening? Listen, I really figured this out. If anything seriously happened, you're going to pick it up here in conversations as you go through the day. Then last and not least, you have the ability to originate. You can actually originate in your mind. This is phenomenal. You can originate an image of you as a multimillionaire. Now look here. Your subconscious mind doesn't have all these abilities. It must accept whatever you give to it. And it has absolutely no ability to reject. Now this, although you may not understand it at the moment, This is the most valuable, it's the most mind-boggling idea that you're ever going to come across. Blow this up, Scott. Look at your subconscious mind cannot differentiate between what's real and what's imagined, and it will take anything you give to it. Now put the screen up for a second, Scott, because I'm going to show you something. This here's good stuff. Okay, look it. There's the mind. Okay, here's the body. So there's power flowing in here. And it's power, it's just pure power. Pure, unadulterated power, spirit, energy. It flows in here, and you can think anything you want to think. You can build a negative idea or a positive idea. The truth is, nothing's negative or positive. Everything just is. It just is. Okay? Now look at, when you plant the idea, this is your heart here. When you plant the idea in your heart, I'm going to tell you, baby, your life is going to change. Because this is what happens. Now I want to watch, because this makes sense. You see this? Do you know that you planted your idea in universal intelligence? This idea sets up a vibration in the body. Okay? Sets up a vibration in the body. The mind and body is in a vibration. It's on a frequency. We'll talk more about this later. You begin to attract from everywhere in the world everything that's in harmonious vibration with that frequency. Look it. I'm on a phone right now. I could phone you. Wouldn't matter where you're living. We'd be together. There isn't any time or space. That's an illusion. We're on the same frequency. That's how I'm broadcasting right now. What we call the subconscious mind is universal intelligence. Thanks, Scott. Let's put it away now. Now stay with me here. This is so important. Look it. With all that information, accept or reject, I'll show you what happens. Here's a person. Information is coming from the social media, from other people, from Netflix, everywhere. It's being dumped into a person's mind. Now, you have the ability to think, so what you can do is just say, get out of here. I don't want any of this stuff. That's what you can do. You can say, just get out of here. But we don't do that. Do you know what we do? We leave our mind wide open, and it goes right into our subconscious. What do we say about the subconscious? It must accept. It has no ability to reject. Why? Because you're programmed that way. That's how your subconscious mind works. How did the paradigm get that way? See, you've actually got a program in your subconscious mind. That's your biocomputer. And the people that wrote the code for this program had no idea what the hell they were doing. Absolutely none. This is bizarre when you think about it. How did that happen? Well, let's look over here. Here you are. This is how you arrived on the scene. This is you as a baby. You didn't have the conscious ability to reject anything. So everything that's going on around you, going right into your subconscious mind. Now, on top of that, you have got all mom's DNA and all dad's DNA came together. That formed you. So you've got this genetic conditioning that goes back God knows how many generations. And they didn't know very much. Not bad people, they just didn't know much. This is pouring into our subconscious. That's how the paradigm's formed. That's why we speak the language, eat the food. We're all programmed. We're all programmed. And so here we are here now, 10, 20, 50 years later, and the program is still controlling us. Now this is rather sad, but it's true. Look here for a moment. Here's a pretty picture of the mind. There's the mind and the body. Here's your conscious, your subconscious, and you can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Look at, like antennae, they're hooked up to our conscious mind. Our mind is getting inundated with information, and it's coming in where? Like what you hear, see, smell, taste, touch. See, a lot of people believe they're thinking. They're not thinking at all. It's just mental activity. Every time some noise or something outside strikes one of those sensory factors, they're like a little antennae sticking up there. That causes mental activity. We trick ourselves into think that we're thinking. We're not thinking at all. We're just being programmed by more outside stuff. Now look at this. We're going to change this for a moment. The conscious mind is also the intellectual mind. Okay? And you have all these intellectual factors. Look at all those higher faculties. But you know something? We were taught absolutely nothing about them. Those higher faculties will change what's going on in your subconscious mind. But nobody's taught us how to use them. Do you even remember what they are? I just showed them to you. Here, I'll show them up again. Look. Now, do you know what they are? Probably you don't. Could you sit down and tell me what they are? If you can't, that's very, very important information. That's what you create with. That's why you're a creative being. You know, I sat down in 1973 in a house on Maplewood Lane in Glenview, Illinois, and I took my pad and I took my pen and I wrote on, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. Do you know, Mikey, that opened up this meeting, she's our chief operating officer, she phoned me about a month ago. I was sitting down, I was going to sit down and watch television, something I rarely ever do. And just as I went to sit down, I thought, I don't want to watch this. And my phone rang and and it's Mikey. She says, I just want you to know, Bob, the company just went into every country in the world. We had 93,000 people listening to one of these. In every country in the world. How did that happen? It happened because I learned how to use these higher faculties. We're going to teach you that, how to do that this week. Now look it. Here we go now. I want you to pay attention. We go to school. School gave us valuable knowledge. However, school never taught us how to alter the paradigm. And the paradigm's in control. Therefore, we frequently don't do what we already know how to do. We get superior knowledge, inferior results. That causes confusion and frustration. So look, here's the model again. Let's fill the books. There's the books. That's where the books are all collected. The school, they give you a book to read, and they test you to see if you know it. That doesn't mean you know it at all. It means you remembered something in the book. Now look here for a moment. There's people with absolutely brilliant results. Masters in business administration, commerce and finance. And they're broke. Their results are terrible. Why? Why is it that just 5% of the population are winning? I'll tell you why. It's not the results. The books don't give the results. It's the paradigm that causes the results. Yeah. You got smart people, but the paradigm's in control. You see, your paradigm's controlling your results. You pay attention to me, I'm going to show you how to make $1 million look small. When you make $1 million look small, you're going to knock it off because it isn't even difficult to do. Now look, blow this up. Look, you change your results. You do that by changing your paradigm. That's right. That's exactly how it happens. Now, if you use these numbers, if you play with the numbers, this is like magic. When you do this repetitiously, your programming gets changed. You see, that paradigm, you want to change it? You change it the same way it was built. It was built through repetition. Through repetition. When you were a baby, before you were even born, Mom and Dad came together at the moment of conception. All Mom's DNA and all Dad's DNA came together. Big no. That is your programming. That is your paradigm, baby. And then, from then on, we keep adding to it. It's not your books. If you want to change the paradigm, I figured out how I did it. This is like magic. If you do the math repetitiously, you reprogram your paradigm. That's what I did. I kept playing with my little computer. It was just a little handheld machine that I'm playing with, a little calculator. And I kept playing with it. And I kept seeing all the different ways to get to $1 million. Well, God, before long, I was knocking it off. Why? That's all I thought about. You become what you think about. That's the one point all great leaders talked about. You just keep playing with this, and it happens. Now look here. You might have to quit what you're doing. You might have to quit it. Here's a woman here. If you really don't like what you're doing, then you're not in harmony with it. If you're not in harmony with it, it ain't going to work. That's like trying to phone somebody and you haven't got their number. You dial somebody else's number to get them. It doesn't work. You can't dial somebody else's number and get the person. If you don't have my number, you can't dial my number and get me. Well, if you're not in harmony with the good you desire, if you're working at something you're not in harmony with it, you should quit. Understand this. People say, I'll quit when I get a better job. They have never learned one of the laws of nature. Vacuum law of prosperity. You must create room for the good that you desire. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you quit, you will fill that vacuum. You can't put something where, I'm looking at a chair, you can't put something where the chair sits until you get rid of the chair. So you got to ask yourself, what do you really want? What do you really want? This is so important. You see, you can, without question, create the life you really want. You can create the life you really want. Yes, you can. You really can. This is how it works. I've done that. Look at Bob Proctor. If you'd known me when I started, you wouldn't even want to hang out with me. I wasn't a nice person. Wasn't that I was a bad person. I just wasn't a nice person. I didn't know which end was up. If you lent me money, I'd never pay you back. Not because I was dishonest. I just didn't have enough money to pay you back. I owed everybody and his brother money. I owed $6,000. I was only earning $4,000 a year. But I didn't owe it to one person. It was 100 here, 50 there. It was all over the damn place. I was a mess. I couldn't get a good job. I got a job. I worked in 2 bars for an hour. They fired me. Listen, this isn't unusual. A lot of people live like that. Just absolutely. And then there's other people, like that woman, they're going to jobs they hate. God, I remember I got out of the Navy. My mother said, there's an ad in the paper for welders. They'll teach you how to weld. Maybe you could do that, Bob. And so what the hell? I said, yeah, okay. So I went and took a welding course. They promised they were going to get you a job at $2.50 an hour. Now, this is in the 50s. The instructors were only earning $1.25 an hour. I should have been at least enough awake. I was doing things I hated. It never entered my mind that I could literally create the life I want. That's amazing. This is generally where the paradigm takes over. When you go to change what you're doing, all hell breaks loose. All hell breaks loose. Now, I don't know if you've liked what I've showed you so far, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you some stuff tomorrow that is much better than what I've just showed you, but an extension of what I've showed you. Can you make $1 million look small? Absolutely. If you'll do exactly what I tell you. See, that's what Ray said to me. Most people won't do exactly what you tell them. I remember I was doing a big contract with Prudential back in 1973. We raised their sales by hundreds of millions of dollars just teaching them some simple stuff, because it is simple. If it wasn't simple, I don't think I'd have ever got it. But at any rate, we had about 500 agents in a room, and I found out the number 1 agent out of 20,000 agents was in the room. His name was Ron Sempertrain. He lived in Chicago. If you're in Chicago, you might know him. Anyway, when I found out he was in the room, I asked him to stand up. And I said, Ron, how many people this year have contacted you and asked to take you to breakfast or lunch with a half a dozen well-prepared questions asking you what you're doing? Nobody. Not even one. This guy's number 1 out of 20,000 agents, the number 1 insurance company in the world. He was the number 1 agent. No one asked him what he was doing. Why don't we do that? We don't know. I know. The paradigm's in control. The damn paradigm is in control. Now listen, Ray said, do exactly what I tell you. I'm working with a guy, damn good friend of mine, Arash Fusagi. Arash is going to tell you, Arash earns a few million. He does. He bought into everything I was teaching 10, 11, 12, I don't know, 15 years ago. Been working with us a long time. I love working with the guy. When you go to change, the paradigm usually cuts in and all hell breaks loose. He says, it won't work. Don't listen to him. You know, he doesn't know. It doesn't, you know. I'm going to tell you something. I do know what I'm talking about. I'm really good at this. I am really good at this. Now, I am not much good at anything else. I don't do anything else. I've been doing this for 60 years.